Iron Man was a great movie. Iron Man 2 is utterly pointless. Let's start with what's good about the movie. The introduction of Iron Man in the first sequence. The scene of him jumping out of the plane and careening down amidst a barrage of fireworks and landing in the middle of the Stark Expo. And to the cheering crowd and the dancers in the background, and the thing comes up and undresses him. There's Tony Stark in a tuxedo. That is maybe the best introduction of any superhero in any superhero movie I've ever seen. Just that scene is perfect. It's incredible. It sets up what is going to feel you'd think would be just a really fun, exciting sequel. You would be wrong. That scene is the best scene in the movie. That after that, the movie just takes a nosedive. Where to even begin with this movie? First of all, it's not that it's a horrible movie. It's a okay movie. And I guess I'll start with really the biggest problem in the entire movie, which is that it's almost a remake in some ways. So you would think that going in Iron Man 2, Tony has learned some lessons. And it's going to be, the further evolution of this character. What's the plot of Iron Man 2? Tony Stark is a egocentric jerk who has a crisis of health, has to invent something to save his life, and uses that invention to go out and fix the problems that he created and learn to be a hero. Again. The other good things about the movie, Downey is good. Gwyneth Paltrow is good. Again, they're both still good. Their banter, their talking over each other, their cute sort of arguing relationship. It was fun in the first movie. In the second, it feels forced. Another good thing about Iron Man 2 is Mickey Rourke as Whiplash. His performance is fine. I have no problem with Mickey Rourke's performance. I found that Whiplash was not as compelling as Jeff Bridges was in the first one as Ironmonger. You get the feeling that he's actually maybe a good person who's just trying to avenge his father. In another story, he might be the hero. I liked that. But they didn't really go for it. They didn't really flesh that out. And then we get to Justin Hammer, who's played by Sam Rockwell. And this character, I don't understand this character. First of all, Justin Hammer is not threatening at all. He poses no threat in the movie. He's just basically Mickey Rourke's backer. That's it. They made him completely incompetent. You almost get the feeling, because I know that Downey had a lot of input into the script. I almost get the feeling that Downey said, you know what? Nobody can be as cool as Tony Stark. You've got to make this guy a complete schmuck. And that's what he is. He's a schmuck. You look at him and you go, there's no way that this person would ever have risen to the levels of power that he did. He makes weapons that don't work. Which, of course, because he's the one that pimps out the War Machine outfit, makes War Machine less of a badass. This was just a mind-blowingly stupid decision to make Justin Hammer into this incompetent twit. You can't even say that this movie boasts really good action, even though it does. The fight in Monaco on the racetrack is good. The end of the movie, it's a great action sequence, fighting the drones and then having to go up against sort of Whiplash in the Crimson Dynamo armor. That's all good. That's great. That's good action. That's 2 scenes. 1, 2, 2 scenes of action in the entire movie. That's all we get, is 2 scenes where Tony Stark puts on the armor and fights as Iron Man. And no. The scene where he fights Rhodey, no, that's not an action scene. Okay? That's 2 friends fighting. There's no real danger or threat to either one of them. We get 2 action scenes with Tony Stark in the armor. The pacing of the movie is awful. It's just awful. Or that the first movie sets up the sequel so that the sequel can just dive right in. It took a half an hour to get to the scene in Monaco. And then another hour before you get the action scene at the end. Here's how I would have fixed this whole movie, okay? Don't make Iron Man 2. Not yet. You're setting up the Avengers, which seemed to be the only reason for this movie to exist, was to make money, because the first Iron Man movie made a lot of money, and to set up the Avengers. So make a S.H.I.E.L.D. movie. I mean, Black Widow is shoved into this movie, and I don't have a problem with Scarlett Johansson. Where's the Russian accent? Why aren't you playing Black Widow? If there was one word I would use to describe Black Widow, it would be Russian. She's a Russian spy. Boom! That's her description right there. No accent. Not even an attempt at an accent from Scarlett Johansson. But I digress. Back to my point. Do a S.H.I.E.L.D. movie. Do a S.H.I.E.L.D. movie. You could have had Robert Downey Jr. guest star. You could have had brought in Chris Hemsworth for a minute. You could have interwoven the S.H.I.E.L.D. movie in with the other movies. And it could have brought in Hawkeye, given him a proper introduction before the Avengers, given Sam Jackson a starring vehicle so that we knew who Nick Fury was better before the Avengers. It would have been a better movie to just do S.H.I.E.L.D. Because it seems like Iron Man 2 is really only concerned with setting up the Avengers. That's the point of the entire movie, is to set up the Avengers. And it's forced. It's forced. You know, you've got Nick Fury showing up for really no reason. Agent Coulson pops in and then he's just gone because he has to go take care of a problem in the Southwest. It's just these characters are just shoehorned in, going, 2 more years, we're gonna do Avengers. It's a real letdown. This movie is a real letdown, and I wish I had more to say. You know, I actually could go on. There could be this could be a 5-part video of me tearing this movie apart. Inventing a new element? Really? I just was sitting there going, he invented a new element? You can't do that. You can't invent an element. Yes, this movie had to serve the entire franchise, but it also should have just been a self-contained film in and of itself, and it's not. It doesn't live up to the first movie. It doesn't deliver as a sequel. It doesn't deliver as a setup for Avengers. It fails in what it was trying to be. And that's the real shame of this movie.
The worlds.
sort of gave myself the challenge of, okay,